What's up, guys? It is your girl, Sarah from Sarah Styles here. I am beyond excited to have Lori here with me. If you guys do not follow Lori, you absolutely have to. She has a YouTube channel and she has amazing what sold videos and her thrift hauls. I'm always learning a new brand and just so much knowledge that she has. But I've asked her to come here today. We'll do some casual chat as well because she's a wealth of knowledge. But she recently did a thrift list. Was it March?
This was February.
Okay, yeah. See, time flies. I think we talked about it.
Just pick a month.
Yeah. So she did a thrift list February, because we all get death piles and trying to get rid of old inventory and stuff. So I want to specifically talk to Lori a little bit about that and, how it went, and then suggestions on death piles and getting rid of old inventory as well. If you guys have any questions for Lori, she is just a wealth of knowledge as well. So feel free to drop any questions that you have. As we kind of get started, I will let you introduce yourself a little bit more. You have a podcast, a YouTube channel, lots of things going on if you want to just share a little bit.
Sure, of course. Well, thanks so much for having me tonight, Sarah. It's always such a joy to catch up with you. And I get so much from your videos and Miss Data Queen because I'm the opposite. So it's really nice to just check in with somebody who is so on top of that stuff. And I love it. But yeah, my name is Lori. I have a YouTube channel and I have a podcast with my friend Daniela. It's called Thrifters Villa. It's a podcast for resellers and entrepreneurs. And we just kind of chat every week. Sometimes we have guests on. Last night we talked about like trying to grow, how to deal with growing pains in your business, when to let things go, when to, charge forward with things. So yeah, I have a couple things going on, but yeah, YouTube, I'm on Poshmark, eBay, the reseller thing.
And you're a mom as well, but your kids are older. They're all out of the house, or you still have a couple in high school, right?
I have one in high school. I have 3 kids. So my son, Anthony, graduates from college this year, which is insane. He turns 22 on Wednesday. And then my daughter's a freshman in college, and my son, Rocco, he is a junior in high school. So 3. Okay. So still one at home.
Yeah.
A low maintenance, not like having little ones at home. It's different, especially during this pandemic.
Yeah, but I can imagine it's been hard for him to be in high school and the college age kids too, right? They're not getting the experience that they had hoped.
Yeah. I think my daughter in particular, who graduated from high school in 2020, she missed a lot at the tail end of last year, and her freshman experience has been difficult. Luckily, she's at school with my oldest son. So I think having a brother who's a senior kind of helped her along. I think it was really nice that they had each other. But yeah, my son goes back full time April 26th, and I cannot wait. I think it's been the hardest on my high school student, just as far as motivation and involvement. He played baseball and basketball, and he's just really lost a lot of his motivation for stuff. And, he needs to get out there again. It's going to be really good for him.
It's such a social time for them. I mean, I think at school is social because mine are little, and then I have a high schooler too. And it's such a social time. Like school is more than just the academics, right? Yeah, and getting the friends and the sport, if they're big into sports and all of that. So hopefully we're on the mend. It's been a full year and it's completely different than it was this time last year. So hopefully,
yes, I think the trajectory's going in the right direction now, which is really nice.
Yes. Agreed. Hopefully I'll be able to come out because my husband's from Boston. So hopefully we'll come out eventually and we can see each other.
You got to look me up, girl, if you were out here.
Oh, I will. You and Daniela, there's a lot of resellers in the Boston area. So once we come, I think my husband might travel because we've been vaccinated. So I think my husband's going to travel this summer, but with the kids not having the vaccine yet, and we're just not really, I don't know. We haven't decided. He's probably going to go for a wedding. We haven't decided if we're all going to go or not.
Yeah, it's hard to travel with the little ones.
Yeah, I know.
You just leave them at home now. No.
Yeah, my high schooler you could, but the 3 and 6-year-old, not so much.
Exactly. No, that's not so easy. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Yes, I was going to pop into the chat. Thanks for helping me moderate. You're used to doing these because sometimes I forget. So Chris is here. Thanks, Chris. If you guys don't follow Ginger Marvin, her and her husband do amazing what sold videos. It seems like almost every day. Like they are just constantly putting out lots of
good sign.
Yeah, lots of great what sold videos. She's a wealth of knowledge as well. I know she sells a lot on Kitizen. I mean, all the platforms, but she knows a lot about Kitizens as well.
Yes.
I watched your video when you revamped your home office. It is beautiful.
Thank you, Chris.
Your aesthetic is always so nice, and then I just have my stuff.
I mean, that's my basement, Sarah. I just happen to have more lighting upstairs. But if I were to film with my stuff, it looks just like that. But
Yeah.
my home office, I did do over. Yeah, I did a video with it. I got all my stuff secondhand on Craigslist at IKEA and just kind of cleared out a lot of stuff. But the clutter always makes its way. I can show you guys. You're just missing some of it, you know? It gets pretty bad in here.
Perfect angle for that.
I have a good angle for you.
eBliss is here. If you guys don't know about eBliss, I've done a couple videos with them, but they are a reseller solution. You can send your items to them and they do the storing and shipping. So if you like the shopping and not the rest of it, that is a good solution. You guys can look them up. They are local to me and they have like a ginormous warehouse that I've been to. It's really cool.
Cool.
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff in the eBay community as well. So I've been to some of their meetups. Sarah Perry, lots of new names here. I'm assuming
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Larissa. How's everybody doing? Hi, Donna.
Donna is here. All right. So let's get into it. You did a thriftless February, and this is a fairly like you do an annual somewhat. I feel like
so I just came up with the concept. I mean, I think a lot of people take a break from thrifting, but last February, I just kind of gave it a name and made a real conscious decision because I'm a perpetual thrifter, you know, and I just reached a point where I knew I needed to take a break in order to get my business, to get my ducks in order. I just needed to get through some stuff. I had massive death piles and I just decided to take the month of February off, which was a easy decision, like post-Christmas, post-holiday hoopla, things had finally calmed down and I just almost wanted to like prep for spring cleaning. So I just gave it a name and I did a series about it on YouTube last year. And then at the end of it all, I did like a Marie Kondo. I Marie Kondoed my entire bedroom. So I included my own stuff with my death pile stuff that I had purchased. And it was just a giant purge last February. So I decided to make it an annual thing. And it was really exciting because a lot of people joined me this year and hashtag thriftless February. And it was nice to just see people. It's hard to take that self-control. And I had listing goals too. Last year, I think it was 200 listings that I was trying to get to before I would allow myself to go thrifting and a certain dollar amount. Like I had all these little mental checklists that I went through last year. This year, it was more of an effort to, it wasn't so much like a listing effort. It was more like a liquidation because I'm revamping my inventory system this year. So this year, it was more about making space for my inventory to get neater and tighter. And last year it was more just like getting rid of clutter. So I kind of got that under control. And, you know, it's always a work in progress. There's always something that I'm working on, you know, as we all are.
Oh, for sure. And what's funny is so last February, like pandemic wasn't a thing, right? And I was always I'm just the opposite where I would not go thrifting until everything was listed, which was a terrible problem when the pandemic hit, because then I had no inventory.
But it's such a good business strategy, right?
Not last year. It wasn't
last year.
I went 2 months without having any new inventory. I was like, you know, trying to find places to get inventory because everything was shut down. And so it was not a good business strategy last year. Everyone who had all these death piles, I was like, well, damn.
And ironically, you know, February was right before the pandemic. I think March 12th was my kid's last day. And it was just crazy because I mean, trust me, I still had more, but I had just gotten rid of so many. I was like counting the pieces, like, because I brought some to consignment stores. I donated some. I think in total, like I moved up to like 300 items out of my house that were just, you know, I had kids who had grown out of stuff and items that needed mending and just all these little piles all over the place. And I just needed to make a decision with what to do with them.
So do you think, from Donna saying thrifting is the fun part of the business, the one thing I look forward to? I think most of us are in that same boat.
Yes.
So based on last year, we'll get into like your liquidation because I've followed your journey and how you've kind of revamped some of your inventory processes and stuff too, which I think is really important. But based off of your thriftless February last year, did you change any of your practices in like limiting your thrifting this year, or, you know, over the past course of the year, or having like certain, like, if I list this many items, I'll do this? Like, did you change any of that, or did you just go back?
Yeah, there were a few things that I definitely took with me moving forward. And One thing was I started to keep track of how much money I was actually spending every month at the thrift store. It's never been a problem. I've always made more than I've spent. But for those of you who don't know, I'm married to an accountant and he keeps all of my books. And I would literally say to him, how much money have I spent this month? Like I was like, just ignorance is bliss. And I wasn't really paying attention to certain things. And if Jay was telling me things were okay, I would just keep shopping. And I just took a little bit more ownership after Thriftless February because I just wanted to monitor. I don't know if it was the month of November. I said, how much have I spent this month? And he's like, I think you spent $900. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't realize I was spending that much and I was making more than that, but it was just still a little sticker shock for me. So I started keeping track of what I was spending a little bit more closely. And I stopped going to the bins as frequently, which wasn't hard because COVID hit. So the bins were just shut down. But what I realized was I think I just shifted from quantity to quality a little bit more. I still love the bins, but I was leaving behind things that were going to be a lot of work for me because what I realized when I was going through everything was that I wasn't mending the buttons and I wasn't treating the stains. I mean, unless it was a really good brand that was worth it, I'm no longer going to pick up, Ann Taylor Loft if it has a stain on it. But you know what I mean? I would pick up other brands that might need a little bit of love. So I got more selective. I thrifted a little bit less and I kept track of my stuff. And honestly, I don't know if it was a combination of just having gone through Thriftless February and then right on the heels of that was COVID. So we were home, but I didn't crave it quite so much because now when I go thrifting, I know just how much work is involved. And I think sometimes before I just chose to just turn a blind eye to how much work was ahead of me when I got home with 50 pounds from the bins. And I've just slowed my roll a little bit. And I think that's continued into this year.
Yeah. And I think I am not a bins person. And from many of the reasons that you say, because I have a hard time not buying everything at the bins. And then you get home because it's so cheap and you're like, oh, yeah, I'll totally do that. Or that's totally going to sell for me. And then I get home and I'm like, I don't want to list any of this, but there's so much stuff. And then you start to feel bad that this is just going to like go to the landfill. And you're like, oh, someone will buy this and give it love. And so I think that's definitely, I've heard a lot of people say that too. It's a struggle. For me, containing myself more at the bins. When I go to the thrift store, I find it much easier. Even though it's only a couple of dollars more, right? Like sometimes you're buying things at half off and it's like $3 for a shirt, but those couple dollars like puts me in check that like, do I really want to get home and steam this or wash this or clean this or whatever it is?
I really do look at stuff now. And I think when I get home it sounds corny, but I try to get things that bring me joy, but if they're not going to bring me joy, is it really going to bring me some money? And like, for example, like cotton men's button down shirts. I used to pick them up a lot at the bins. And I'm like, I just don't want to steam those for a $20 return, even though I know it's good, even though I know I can get the money back. I'm just not excited to list those things. So I leave them behind. I also examine things a lot more carefully now, even at the bins. What I never used to do at the bins was carve out time to really go through my cart. And now I do because now they close after 2 hours, they start coming over the microphone. Like you need to be in line in 15 minutes because they clean in between rotations. I don't know how it is in Colorado if they do that.
I've heard, I haven't been to the bin since COVID shut down.
Okay.
But I've heard that they have like time limits and like
similar. Yeah. So now when I hear that over the intercom, like I really make it a point to go and I throw back so many things that I wouldn't have a year ago. So that's good. But I think that also just comes with experience in this field.
And this is a tip if you're new to reselling and newer to the bins, go to where people like Lori are throwing things back. If you go to the ends of the bins.
Yes, that is a great place to look.
Yeah, go there because they're maybe throwing back things that they didn't want, but they were good enough. Most of them, there was a reason that they initially picked it up. It's a good way to kind of get some stuff if you're new to the bins.
Absolutely. I've picked up some really good throwbacks in my time.
Yeah, for sure. I had a question. Oh, so do you think doing these new strategies that your business is improving?
I do. I definitely do. I mean, I think what it's done for me is it's freed up a lot of like mental space for me, because I was always in this feeling like things are cluttery, or like it was my rack was always so full. Like I never had an empty hanger on my rack to just now, I usually have 30 hangers that are just waiting for new clothes. And I also ended up hiring somebody, which was a decision I made, and I'm so happy I did it. And now I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't live without her. She's here right now. But like, she's just a high school student. She's going to graduate with my son, Rocco. Super hardworking. She works for me 3 days a week for 3 hours. So 9 hours a week. And she just photographs, steams, measures, drafts things. And what I've realized with Caitlin is she doesn't really care what she's listing. Like I would notice that I would always put my black pants on the back burner, or certain things that I just didn't want to photograph. And she doesn't care. So like she's helped me get through stuff that were like on the verge of being in my death pile, but just things I wasn't prioritizing to list. And I'm selling more, because she is just so efficient. And, sometimes she'll be downstairs photographing and drafting, and then I'm upstairs on Vendu, and I do everything in Vendu first, and then I'll just make them go live as she's doing them. And we communicate back and forth. She's in the basement. I'll text her if there's information missing or whatever, but that's really helped me. But I had to watch my numbers because she cost about $500 a month. And I needed to make sure that I was making that and then some. And the accountant gave me the thumbs up and said, March was my best month ever. This last month.
Yay. Congratulations.
Yeah. So,
awesome.
So it is working, and I just have to like keep it going, which is nice. And now I'm at the point where I'm pulling stuff out of bags that I had to go to the consignment store because Caitlin needs things to photograph, so even if it wasn't worth $20 for me to do the listing, like Kate, if she can take the photograph and we get it listed, and she, even if she photographs 5 items from a bag that was going to go, my average selling price is around $35 to $38 right now. So if she photographs 5 items, that's more than going to pay for her visit, for her time with me. So it's been a good thing. I told her she cannot leave the state for college.
That I've thought about getting. I've had she was a middle schooler, like going into her senior year or going into her freshman year, before the pandemic hit, and then the pandemic hit, and she hasn't come back. So I've been thinking about getting someone else, but I'm like, if you get a high school student, by the time you like get in a rhythm and get going with it, then they're like gone.
I mean, I'll have Caitlin. She keeps calling me. I keep waiting for her to not want to come back, and she keeps coming back. So I'll have her for about 1.5 years, and she's already really good. She picked up on things really quickly, and I think she likes fashion. I had one other girl before her who was like best friends with my daughter, and like she would come and we would socialize for like 2 out of the 3 hours she was here. We were super unproductive together, but we had a blast. But I'm like, Lindsay, this is just not a good fit. Like she ended up getting a full-time job as a nanny, but we joke about it now because we were very inefficient together.
Yeah, well, it's smart that you send her to the basement and like she goes straight to work and she's efficient. And something I was going to touch on too, like pulling those items from, taking them to consignment. Maybe they're only selling for $20, but the algorithms like when you make sales, right? And so like sometimes, especially when it's someone else doing it, I have a lister too. I don't mind photographing. It's very like monotonous to me. But the listing, I always push stuff off, and I'm like, okay, if this only sells for $20, it tells the algorithm that something's selling, and then some of my higher price stuff will get to sell as well. And it's much easier when I don't have to be the one to list it.
It really makes such a big difference. And I'll just go on any given day in the morning when I'm having coffee, and I'll just make a few things go live, and there's always something that's ready to go. And so when she drafts for me, she always makes sure she takes a picture of the fabric content. And then the only thing she writes in there are measurements for me. And then I fill out everything else and make it go live. And I think that could be the next step for her. I also started a new inventory system with the tote scan, and it's been a very tedious job because I have 1,300 active listings. And so we have gone literally, I have 90 bins, Sarah, like 90 tags.
Yeah.
And about 25 items per tag, or whatever the amount is per bin. It varies depending on what the items are in there. But she's been going through every single bin and like taking a photograph and scanning it so that I actually have an inventory system, because I haven't thus far.
Yeah, I saw your post about that. And I was like, oh, that's a really cool thing. And my husband's kind of done my finances before, and then we fought too much. So then I took it back over. And then I got to the point where I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to hire a bookkeeper. And he was like, you're not paying a bookkeeper to do that, because they charge, like you have to pay for their, he's like, I'll just do it for you again. So he's very anal. And he was like, you have to go through and count every single item. And I have like 1,200 items. And I was like, I don't want to do that like at all. So I can only imagine. A lot of my new stuff I know is good to go, but some of the old stuff that I had for a while and the inventory system wasn't really good. I spent a weekend going through 100 items and it was awful. So I can only imagine.
You look at some of those old things. I mean, or just, it's been eye-opening and a little embarrassing that I've like, this August will be 3 years that I've been doing this formally. And the fact that it's like basically 2.5 years before I got my act together with my inventory. I mean, it is what it is. I guess we all have like things that aren't our strength. And Jay tells me I'm an accountant's nightmare. Like we joke. I've said this before. He says I'm a shoebox client. Like I throw everything in the box and hand it over to him to figure out. I'm getting better. One of the main things that we did last year was when I got my LLC, we finally got a separate credit card for me. I mean, he was like going through the credit card every month and itemizing things that were mine. And it's just been like, because I have like my Shopify account with my website, and I just have like, there's just, you don't want to have it. It's just so much cleaner now. And so that was a huge step to just get my LLC, get my credit card. And then we got payroll, we got Caitlin on payroll. So she's on the books, and it's just like, it feels official. And I would be like, completely underwater without Jay.
Yeah. And I can only imagine. My husband works in finance, so he's not an accountant, but he knows finance and way more than me. And he used to say, "Did you need to do it this way?" And I'm like, "But I don't want." And finally, after now, I was like, "I don't want to do anything. So you do it all and just tell me what you need, because I don't enjoy this part of it. I don't want to do this. I'm going to pay someone else." So now he went through and completely like redid inventory and the spreadsheet, and just now, I mean, I have access to it and I look at it, but he will tell me, and it's kind of nice. And this is how companies are built, right? You can't do everything, and eventually you have to start outsourcing things that you don't like doing, things that people are better at doing than you. And we just keep shopping.
Right. It's like YouTube and shopping. Those are the things that I have to do. And essentially I could maybe one day, have somebody to help me on other fronts,
Yeah, for sure. So we were talking about inventory and your sale inventory. I wanted to kind of lead into that. So you went through all of your inventory. You had older stuff. How old do you think your oldest thing?
Hold on. My dog just opened my door. It's going to be 2 seconds. So I'm actually holding on to a few things because I have a handful of items, Sarah, that are approaching 1,000 days. And I think I'm going to celebrate. I'm laughing because I have a couple things that I've looked at and they're like 946. I'm like, I'm holding on to 1,000. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, you now have to, right?
I've come this far, right? Like, why get rid of it now? But then like things will surprise me, and I'll make like these great sales on an item that's been in my inventory for 700 days. So I don't like get that same anxiety that certain people get about, getting rid of stuff after 60 days or relisting. And I know it's a more efficient way to do business. But I'm kind of like somebody who moves forward. Hi, Heidi. How are you? 946. Yes. And, but I wrote down, like, I did have some like averages on how long things take me to sell, but I don't get too bent out of shape about it. But at the same time, my goal right now is to get my inventory from 1,300 items to 1,000 items. I think 1,000 would be a really nice number for me. And I was down around 1,100, and then I got Caitlin on board. So she just started listing a ton of stuff for me. So then my numbers went up, and then I'd have a sale and they'd drop. But like, yeah, so I've been I've been at this point where I can't seem to get below 1,200, but that's when I decided to really go full force and revamp my inventory, because my husband said, well, if your inventory isn't growing anymore, that means like you're selling enough that you can't grow at this pace. So this might be a time to now invest in more storage in bins, because your inventory has like settled. Like, cause I was at a point where I would say 500, that's all I want to be at. And then before I knew it, I'd be at 750 and I'd go buy more bins. And then, okay, when I'm at 750, I'm done. And then I'd be at 1,000. And so finally it stopped creeping up, you know? So now I think I've leveled at 1,200, but I need to liquidate a little bit more to get to that 1,000.
I think that's every reseller's problem. Like not every, lots of different people, but there's a lot of people that have that issue, that you just keep growing and growing and growing. But I'm kind of where you're at, where I'm like settled right around 1,000, 1,100, mostly because I don't have any more space.
And I think that's a good thing, because I think if you have too much space, you just get sloppy. And that's what happened with me in my basement, is that I would find another closet or a corner or a bin, and I just kept adding to it, you know? And I think when I finally put some boundaries on it, like, that's it. You're not buying any more storage units. Don't buy another bin. This is it. Like, if you grow out of this, the problem is yours. Like, you need to, because I'm never going to have a warehouse. That's not my end game. Like, this is where I'm at.
Yeah. And I literally do it so I can be home with my children. So having a storage unit is not part of it. Like, I can't go somewhere to work. I want to be able to ship from my house with my kids and all of that. But I think that is where you start, like you said, you start to get more efficient, because now it kind of reminds me of the Marie
Kondo.
Yes, thank you. I was gonna say Kondo. That's not right.
Yeah.
Her principle, and I do this with my own personal closet. I only have so many hangers, and if I want to buy something new, I have to get rid of something old. And then it makes you think, like, do I actually really want this new thing? Because I have to get rid of some old pieces. And that's kind of where I've gotten with the reselling right now too, is whatever's coming in, I have to be selling enough to get out, and finding ways to, either sell on more platforms or run sales or whatever it is, and also keeps your sales up, right? If you're continuing to grow, but not continuing to sell.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is you. I'm just speaking to the channel in general.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true.
I think a lot of time we see resellers, and a lot of the content is, you have to eat more, but more. If you're not selling more, is just, now we're hoarders.
For me, it turned into a lot of stress, and I'm a pretty chill person. It was just stressing me out, and, but there's a lot of excitement to going to the bins and coming home and doing a YouTube video. Like, I got 80 pounds, like, and it is exciting, but I'm like, I can be just as excited about a 25-pound haul with stuff that I really love. And I like to kind of like talk about my pieces. So I'm not like just like throwing things up and throwing in a bag, I kind of get into it. I like to, so it's okay. And then I'm chatty. So like, sometimes I would have these marathon videos, and it's just like, enough, I just needed to chill out a bit.
Yeah. Well, and so that brings up a point too, because I've noticed I don't do a ton of what sold and haul videos, because I'm really not that good of a reseller.
Yes, you are.
I did a video the other day, but I don't find
your numbers are unbelievable, Sarah.
Well, yes, right. So, but because I know data and analytics, and I can go into Terapeak and look things up. But when I don't know these brands, like all these brands and like trends, and my hauls are not that impressive. I'm like, here's Columbia, here's some more Columbia, and then here, like, because I know it's gonna sell.
But it's gonna sell.
Yeah, but it's not that interesting.
So it's not like the sexy brands, but it's like the stuff that pays your bills. So and I think there are different kinds of resellers. Some people are looking to pay their mortgage, and other people are looking to be passionate about what they're buying. And I'm probably like the passionate one, like that's like, I want to get excited about stuff, and I like pieces that have a story behind them, and I get into vintage stuff, or I love the research of a brand I don't know. Like, it's just what I like. You can't help what you like or what works for you, But now that I'm on eBay, I am paying attention to brands like Columbia and things like that. And I think it's good to, I think it's like, I like doing haul videos where one day it will be a bins haul and it'll be a lot of like, more like what people would consider like bread and butter. And then to do an estate sale where you might have some really high-end designer stuff. And then just like your average Goodwill sale. I mean, I really feel like those hauls are all so different. They all kind of have a different personality to them. And I think it's fun to kind of dabble in all of it because that's what I like, you know.
Do you specifically source for YouTube? Like, do you find you're like, oh, I need a new video to do, or I wouldn't normally, like, if you weren't on YouTube, would you not be picking up as much? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Good question.
YouTubers say, like, I wouldn't have normally bought this, but I wanted to like do a haul, so I needed to go. Like, I need to do a haul, so I need to go thrifting, so then I can do a
not really. I mean, I feel like sometimes, I mean, I do 2 videos a week. So it's always in the back of my mind, like, what's my next video? But I have to say, I'm kind of okay off the cuff. Like if I don't have, like I didn't have a video and I was talking to Jay a few weeks ago and I said, I just don't have a haul. It might've been right after Thriftless February or something. And I'm like, I think by the end of February, I struggle because I don't do hauls. And hauls are just, they're not like a filler, but they're easy. They're less editing. They're fun. They're like what solds, as you know, require research and importing images to your screen or other things that I've done that are like researched based. So hauls are just easy to do and I enjoy them. So at the end of February, I remember saying to Jay, like, I just need a video. And he's like, why don't you do how to move stale inventory? Isn't that what you've been doing all month? And I was like, I don't know if that sounds like an exciting video. And I did it and I really enjoyed it. And it was really well received and it's doing well. It's still getting views. And I feel like it's more evergreen than a haul video that I did 2 years ago. Like I feel like that video, how to move stale inventory, is something that people can keep going back to. Because I don't tend to watch people's haul videos from 2018 because we pick up such different things from month to month. So that's the downside of haul videos is that like, even like, I don't even want to watch something from like 6 months ago from somebody. I mean, that's just me. When I first got started, there were certain YouTubers where I would like just start from the beginning and watch everything. But like current day me, I just kind of like to watch current stuff, you know?
Well, and I would agree, especially in this last year, because like everything has changed. So
everything changed.
You would buy last year. Hopefully it'll get better. But like normally the summer you like sell dresses. And last summer, like I could not move a dress to sell my life because no one was going anywhere. My, athletic wear and pajamas were sweatpants were, but normally that's not the case, right? So I think definitely normally watching, 6 months.
My dresses sit for the longest.
Yeah.
As of, from last year's data.
Yes. Yeah. Last year was just wild. And that's where like, you just have to keep it. Hopefully we're like on the cusp and we'll have a fairly normal next year. But so your inventory system, if you guys don't follow Lori, I'm going to let her talk a little bit because it's kind of a really cool thing. You're the first person that I've seen do it. So I'm not very in touch. Obviously, there could be other people doing it, but I saw your new inventory system and I was like, that's so cool. I'm not doing it because it sounds like a lot of work to revamp what I have going on. But if you want to kind of share people who don't, haven't seen your video.
Yeah, well, I didn't come up with it. My friend Hope from Racks to Riches Resale is the one who told me about it. I knew that I wanted to do some sort of a scanning inventory system. And I think like Duct Tape, is it Duck that does it? I can't remember. There's one other company that does it, but she introduced me to Tote Scan. And you literally get 45 labels for $10 that stick on anything. They're great if somebody's moving, if you need garage storage, attic storage, and you scan the bin and then the number comes up and you can assign it a name, or in my case, like I'll say, this has been AA. And then it's some like RXZ32, like that's the code that is associated with it, but it's been AA. And you assign a location. So I have like studio mirror, basement wall. Like I just have all these designated areas in my basement. And then you simply add item, you take a picture of it, add a little description, and then it's in the inventory. So if I sell something, once it's all in, I mean, you can imagine how long it takes to individually take a picture of every item to get it in there. One day, we tried to rock it out on a Saturday. We just put music on, and Jay went downstairs. We did it for like 4 hours, the two of us, and it takes about 30 minutes per bin.
Yeah.
And then the shirt bins that have like 25, 26 items. That was another thing. I was trying to spread stuff out because I had certain bins that were just jammed, and it was just, everything was just uncomfortable. I just wanted it to be accessible. But so now, like if I sell something, like if I sell a pair of Levi's or just the brand Levi's, I'll type in Levi's on my Tote Scan app, and all of anything that's Levi's will come up in my inventory. And then if I do Levi's jeans, then some of it will go away. And, until you get to Levi's jeans size 27, and however descriptive you make your item, you can access it that way. And then you grab it out of your inventory, you press trash, and then it pulls it out of your inventory, and then it's gone.
So then because you said you have like bin AA, do you have SKU numbers and stuff on like your listings, or you're just typing in, like when something sells, you're typing it in and finding it that way?
So this has been my big debate, because I wasn't going to go back to my 1,300 listings and add the SKU to the listing. So I just keep it separate on the app. But now my debate is, moving forward, do I want to put that on my listing? But then a little bit, it defeats the purpose of the scan tote, because if I put it in my listing but then don't take a picture, it's not going to be in the app. So I wanted to do a big inventory video like in March, and I just wasn't ready because I had to keep using the system. And so this morning I had like another pile. So now my new bottleneck, it used to be just getting it into inventory, but now my new bottleneck is I steam it, I photograph it, I put it in the poly bag, but I don't enter it into a bin yet because I need to scan it. It takes only 30 seconds to like do it, but that's where my piles are adding up now, but they're not piling up quite so big. I have a much better handle on it now.
Can you have your bin, like you would pull whichever bin you're going to be putting new stuff into and just have it there and put it, because that's what I do. I put it away as like you do all that. You take the photo measurements and put it in the poly bag, and then I put it in the bin at that
immediately.
Time. So you can just pull whichever bin you want to put it in and bring it up to where you're taking photos.
Right. So prior to literally today was the very first day, I said to Caitlin, I'm making a big move today because I did. So Caitlin will take the pictures. The problem is for me is a lot of the items need to go into a haul video before I inventory them. But I don't always like to just pull my stuff out of bags with tags and wrinkled and lint. Like sometimes I just like to make my things look nice for a haul video. And I like to have them listed, which I rarely have them. That's another thing I'm working on, but I like to have them listed so that when my haul goes live, if people want to buy them, they're already in my closet. So, but today for the first time, my son is dancing out here in the window for me. But today for the first time, I said to Caitlin, I just filmed a haul today. I said, these are all the items for the haul. These are all going to go in this bin, and I'm going to do it by haul. Because what we were having to do is unwrap things that were already in poly bags and take the picture to put it in the inventory with the brand and the size when we were going backwards. But now moving forward, like, well, before it goes in the bag, snap that picture while it's fresh in our brain, and boom, it goes in. And also prior to today, I used to inventory things according to categories. So I have like 8 bins for sweaters. I have 8 bins for tops. I have 2 bins for button-down shirts. I have 4 bins for men, 3 bins for children. So today's bin was a mixture of everything, and it's totally giving me anxiety, but I'm trying it for the first time.
It's helpful because I think most resellers, at least who I talk to, that's kind of how most people start, is you have like dresses and shoes. You only have a couple, right? And you're like, here's one bin. It's just all the 30 dresses that I have. Yes. And then that just keeps happening until you're at 700 items, and that's a system. And then we go back and try and figure this out just as you've done. Because I did the same thing. And I don't know where I was going with that with the bins. Oh, I think it would be helpful. Like going backwards, obviously you have to take the picture, but if you can find a way, like you said, like, but then you have the hauls. Because I went to do a haul video the other day, and I was like, well, this is only half the haul because I've already listed half of it because I forgot I was going to do a haul video.
Yeah.
So you guys get to see half of what's on the haul.
It's tricky. The only solution to it is to do the haul, like to just do the haul right out of your bags, right out of the bin, which a lot of people do, which I'm not opposed to doing. But when I do it that way, if I make the video go live within 24 hours, like the items just aren't going to be listed. And then people email me. And then it's like, I've tried to get away from the emails because it's just a lot of back and forth. Like, do you want to do a direct sale or do you want me to buy it on Poshmark? When is it going to be listed on Poshmark? I'll tag you when it's listed. Okay, will you take this price? Offer it to. It's just like, it's so much time that way. And I don't mind doing direct sales, but it was getting to be overwhelming doing direct sales. So I'm trying to be more efficient and just have it listed.
And you have a Shopify, right?
Yes.
So that would
be dormant for a while.
Well, and that's, I mean, what I found I have a WooCommerce, which is a similar thing. And I don't do a lot of direct sales, but for me, when I was doing direct sales, that was the best place because they have the lowest fees. But then it was like, that's where it is. And this is like when I was doing mystery boxes, that's where they are. It's the lowest fees. You go and buy it. But that's a whole nother realm of things that you have to manage, right? And I don't do a lot of direct sales because it is a lot of that back and forth. And then you also have to collect sales tax on it. And I don't want to add another bookkeeping for, the extra $30 or whatever amount it is. I don't do enough volume for them. But you might, because you do a lot of haul videos. So you probably have a lot.
I mean, what I'm honestly waiting for is for Vendoo. Like they just came out with Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, which I don't sell on currently. I'm just waiting for them to open up Shopify so that I can just cross list things over to Shopify. And just because I've been drafting everything in Vendoo, I just think it will be so easy. So I'm kind of stalling a little bit and waiting for that moment. And yeah, I need to do a little something with my website. I'm just honestly, inventory has just been weighing on me and I'm slow. So I'm just waiting for it to be done.
It's a lot to take over. We have a couple questions in the chat I want to jump into, but do you find, because when I redid my inventory, I used to loathe shipping. Because at least once a week, if not multiple times a week, it was like, oh my God, where is this item? And then a panic attack. And especially when it's on eBay, right? Like you don't want to deal with that.
You really worry about eBay.
Yeah. And then like I have little kids and they always were fighting or putting poop on the wall or whatever it is that little kids do in that moment when I couldn't find an item.
Of course.
And so for me, when I completely redid it made shit, like it just took so much ease off of the process. Do you find, I mean, it's hard when you're doing it, right? Like everything that you did in doing the inventory system, but now that you have a system in place.
I'm about 3/4 of the way through. And what's left is like I haven't done my kids bins, but I only have 3 kids bins and it's not like a ton to look through. I had 8 bins of blouses that had like 30 items in every bin. So if I sold a top, I would be like, oh my God, I want to die.
Looking through all of them.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of had them like rainbow, like I started doing like reds and yellows and greens and then blacks and grays. But then you look through a bin of 30 black shirts and you want to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, honestly, I pinch myself every morning that I open up that Tote Scan app and I just, free people, red blouse, large. And it just shows me a picture. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're in bin F.
Oh, yay.
And then I just go and I pull it out. It's amazing. And it's more organized. I don't have them as jammed. It has been such, I mean, it's crazy that I waited this long. There have been hours of my life I will never get back. The same way, right?
Yeah. It took me until I think I did it maybe 6 months ago, like in the pandemic when it first started, because I didn't have inventory to list. So I was like, well, what can I do with my life? But I think if you guys can learn anything, if you're a new reseller, and I think almost every reseller tells you this is one of the biggest tips, but it's because we went through this. Start an inventory system, even if you only want 100 items. You cannot, like Lori said, you cannot get that time and that stress back. I used to hate shipping, and my husband would be like, I'd be like, I have to ship. It's like, isn't that like a good thing? And
right.
No, like I sold 10 items. And now I'm like in and out. It's like no stress. All right, I want to check in with the chat.
Sure.
I didn't want
everyone.
I know. Thank you guys so much for joining. So let's see. The 5 resellers are here. They just got married. Congratulations. If you guys don't follow them, they are a duo couple. Their content is really great.
Oh my gosh. Congratulations. I was so excited when their picture came up on Instagram. That was so great.
Yes, having someone who helps, but I wish I could hire someone to help me, but I can't.
Mm.
It's definitely, I mean, you have to find, because it costs, right? So you have to be able to be putting enough, you have to get so far ahead on your own to be able to make it worth it. But there's months.
I do think like the virtual assistants, I think they are more affordable for people like who, you know, they couldn't take pictures, right? But I think virtual assistants, like on Upwork can be like $3-4 an hour. So, I mean, it's still an expense. It's still an expense. It has to be something that you're ready for, but.
Yeah. And I use virtual. I had pre-pandemic, I had someone who came because I hated the cleaning part. I had someone who came and she would like clean all the shoes and stuff. But my virtual assistants just do the listings on Upwork. I had someone who was US and now that's on Upwork. And it is definitely, I don't necessarily want to say more affordable because they're doing something different. But yes, you're not putting quite as much up because you can find them overseas for, $3, $5, $7 an hour.
Yeah.
1,000 sounds like a great number. I think we're both right about
working on it.
Duncan, I only have 350 items, nothing older than 3 months.
Ooh,
good for you.
That's impressive. Are you flexing, Duncan?
Yeah. I've settled on 700. I'm happy there. I can source easily enough to keep up with the sales. If I source more, I can't get it all listed.
700 is a nice number too. I just don't know that I could get there. Like maybe going forward, if I could get rid of some of those items that have been in my closet for 1,000 days, that might help me out. 700 is a nice number. I thought I was going to live at 700 for a while, but
I think too, if you are going more for quantity over quality, you may start seeing a shrink over time. But if you're not doing, hundreds of listings because you're not doing as much. I'm scaling back a little. I want to stay around 300 on Posh, less on other platforms. Let's see. Sarah, I think this is when I said I was terrible. I'm just a different reseller than other resellers. Like my point was my haul videos are not that impressive. So I don't do them very often. Let's see. I think we're going to find that we all want to wear those dresses again. I do hope so. Question. So can you use a photo from the listing instead of taking a photo? My stuff is packaged. So this is for your app. Could you, if you had a photo of the listing already, could you add it that way?
Yes, it's an extra step, Heidi, but I have done that. Like if I have something, and this is where I know that I can do the inventory faster than Caitlin because I know the brands because I bought them. And once they're in the package, I can look at them sometimes and just on a pattern know like, this is a Ann Taylor midi skirt. Sometimes I like to know the size because you can search by size, you can search by color, but I have probably 50% of my items that are in the inventory are pictures of the item in the clear bag. And I just know what it is. So, but you can what I was doing is if you're inventorying right away, you could take like a picture from the listing because you just took the picture. Like before, like I delete all my pictures after they go live that are in my camera roll. But like today, there was something that I wanted a little more detail on. So I went to the listing and I just took a screenshot. And then when I went into the app, you can either choose to take a photo or you can choose a photo that you've already taken. So you have that option. So yes, you can do that. It's just an extra step.
Yeah. And so I think like going back, you would just have to decide which one was easier. And then hopefully moving forward, you could have a process where you're not having to like go back.
Yeah. And the photo is just for you. So it doesn't have to be pretty. You just have to be able to look at it and identify like, this is what I just sold. Because you're just eventually going to delete it off of the tote scan once it goes out the door. So you just need it. So I was trying to get like the tag with the size. So that would be like an identifying thing if there was a size in question. And I think that comes into play more with like black leggings or men's khakis or men's Levi's. I noticed I had to be very specific in my title because I think I had like 5 or 6 pairs of guys Levi's. And I did make a mistake with one and I sold one pair of jeans twice because I had listed them twice because it was in my death pile, relisted it. Then I had a big sale and it sold twice. So I have to be careful with very similar items with tote scan that my description is good with size and stuff.
I have done that with men's Levi's as well.
Mhm.
Because they're very like they all look so similar, and then one has like one small different, like one subtle difference that and this is pre having SKUs on everything. I just grabbed the Levi's out and I was like, oh, here's a pair of men's Levi. They look almost the same. And one was like the large E and one, I don't know, some like very small difference.
Yeah.
The wrong one.
For me, it's always like, well, these are a 32-34 and these are a 32-30 or something. And I like whatever, I grabbed the wrong one. So.
All right. Well, I knew we would have lots to talk about. We're headed towards the end, and I want to talk about stale inventory because that is something that you have also done this month, last month, 2 months ago. It's 2 months ago. You have done on how to kind of get rid of stale inventory. So what are first what do you define as stale inventory? We know that you have items that are 1,000 days old.
So for me, I think the 1 year is my threshold. Like when it's over a year, considering I have items that have been there for almost 1,000 days, a year is okay for me. I'm okay with things that have been there for a year. So I think anything over a year, I should probably consider relisting or liquidating, whatever, taking new pictures, removing old backgrounds, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, figuring out. And do you go back to your items and redo photos and stuff?
What I do, so I, for 2 months, the month of October and November of 2018, when I started, I had one of those like folded faux brick vinyl backgrounds that like looked wrinkly and back and dark. So every time I see a photo, I'm like, oh, that's from 2018, October or November of 2018. And it's dark. And it was
that's your inventory system. You know how old it is based on
just based on my background. Yeah. So I did, when I was relisting some, I would take that cover photo and another app that I use all the time is Photo Room. And it just removes the background. So I would leave all the other images as is because it was old inventory anyways. But like I updated my cover photo, maybe changed a few keywords, adjusted my price and relisted. So some of those brick backgrounds now fake me because now I don't see the brick background because I've updated the background. But that was one of the things that I did to just like kind of relist. I go through phases where I'm better about relisting. Right now, I'm not in a good relisting phase, but sometimes I'll relist.
I hate relisting. Once I've already put it up, I'm like done with thinking about it. So 1 year, that's not the one that I meant to do. I want people to ask questions.
No.
You guys have questions for Lori before we end. So I'm kind of with you on that 1 year thing. And I think it depends on your storage too. Like I think everything will eventually sell if you have room to keep things from 3 years ago.
Right.
And I don't, and I'm like the opposite of a hoarder. I just rather get rid of stuff. So I usually run sales fairly frequently to get rid of stuff, but I tend to do like 2 seasons. So a little over a year. Especially during the pandemic, I feel like last summer my stuff didn't sell, not because it didn't sell, but because it was a pandemic. So I'm on to some summer stuff, hoping that it'll sell again this summer. And then if it doesn't, I'll move on with it as long as I have time for it. So with that stale inventory, kind of your definition of it, once you decide that it's stale, what do you do with it?
So I recently tried to I identified things that were over a year, and I just offered 50% off anything that was over a year. And then if it didn't sell, then I needed to think, well, am I either going to donate or relist? I mean, I guess those are my options, or that's it. So I did do that, and I sent out offers on everything that was over a year old. And I think I made like 34, like it was like a 30-ish sales, which is great. But I had, probably 200 items that were over that, more than 200. I can't remember what the number was, but, and then I did like 40% off items that were 6 months or older. And I made less sales, but probably around 20, maybe 10 less. And I haven't done much since, but like that was like an effort in 1 week, and it moved 50 or 60. Some days, what I've been doing recently is I've just been having yes days. Like I don't announce it, but I get offers and I just say yes. We had like some stuff going on with our family this week that was just stress, just a lot that I didn't really have time to like negotiate and go back and forth. So yesterday was a yes day. And it started with like a couple really low ball offers that I just said yes to. But by the end of the day, it was a good day. And like you were saying earlier, like sometimes with the algorithm, once you just start saying yes, the offers start coming in, and it turned out to be a really good day. So I've been trying to have these like I play games with myself, and I'll just be like, all right, today will be a yes day. I'm just going to say yes to everything and see what happens. And sometimes when I've done that, I've had some really epic sales days.
I do similar, and it's not necessarily in a yes day, but if I'm having a low sales day and I get like a low ball offer that sometimes I would counter, I just accept it. And I don't tell them, but I'm like, it's your lucky day. I've had 0 sales today. And so I'm accepting this. And then it starts to get things rolling. And to me, taking that, I lost 10, 20, whatever dollars, but to get more sales, it's completely worth it.
And I can't think of a time that I've actually maybe I could probably count on one hand how many times I've lost money on a sale, regardless of if I take 40, 50, even 60% off. So I tend to price a little bit higher because I do a lot of negotiating, and I send out a lot of 20% off offers, like right off the bat. Like the second I list something, I'll send 20% off, unless it's a super hot item. But I think that also gives me a lot of flexibility to still make a profit,
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so other questions. Because I know you're getting on eBay more. I'm going to ask this first. Something that I've done, but don't keep up with it regularly because I always forget to relist them once it ends, is doing an auction. Because I'm like, if I'm going to donate this item or I'm going to take it to like a Plato's Closet or whatever and only get $3, I might as well get $3 on eBay and get the algorithm to go.
Sure, that's a great idea.
But I don't keep up with it because you do an auction and then it ends and then you have to relist, or I'm not so good with auctions so far,
Yeah.
but I wondered if you guys, because you're doing eBay a little bit more now.
I'm not. I just used eBay as a way to scale my business without adding inventory.
Yeah, no, it's smart.
Yeah.
And then to your sales point too, the other thing that I do, and then we'll get to the questions. I do. So similar, like you said, if it's older, I will run a sale. I like on eBay, Poshmark, it's hard because you can't run sales, but on eBay, you can filter by like how many days it's been on the site. So I'm like, if it's been on for over 100 days, I will do a 50% off sale. If it's been on for over 90 days, I go through and filter things out though, because I'm like, that's still going to sell at that price.
Mm-hmm.
That one buyer, right? Like we have some of that, but for the most part, I'm like, I've seen you for over 100 days. I don't care. You're going on a 50% off sale. Which is as well too. Okay, Carla is asking, do any of you model your clothing and accessories for sale for your photos for listings?
You used to, Sarah, didn't you? Do you still?
No. I did it a lot for vintage because I think vintage really needs to have like a style to it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise it just looks old. It is old, but it just kind of looks like it's your grandma's.
Yeah.
But I've actually I just sent a box of my last vintage to a vintage seller, and I've kind of gotten away from vintage. So I don't do it anymore. And I used to really enjoy it, and I was finding myself dreading doing it. So I don't do it anymore. I think it can help, but it's also more time consuming to do it.
More time. I am like a size 12, 14, and I just don't, half the stuff doesn't fit me, so I would really beg my daughter to model for me when she was home. And now she's in college, so it's not really an option. And she really didn't enjoy it. She was always like, Mom, I have no makeup on, or blah, 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 or like,
cut your head off.
Yeah, I know. And so I started to do that, and we could style things with her. She looked adorable in a lot of stuff, but no. And I actually been selling a lot of vintage recently, and I don't model it, but no. Yeah. You get the creepers that want you to model high heel shoes, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah, when they ask, I'd say so. Oh, as far as things not fitting either, I'm like an 8 or a 10, so I'm not like. There's a lot of things that don't fit me. So if you see just like half of it, or like just the front, like it's completely unzipped, it's not fitting over my hips. Like there's like certain angles that like I'm standing in weird to get, like I couldn't fit into a 00, but 2 or 3 sizes smaller, I would like.
Right. Totally. But then do you ever find like if somebody looks at you and they're like, oh, well, Sarah's like this person looks like she's about a size 8, 10. But you're modeling something and then they're like, that looks like it will probably fit me, but they don't know that it's unzipped. Like I worry about that sometimes.
Yes.
Was it ever an issue?
I had that issue. It was more when I was modeling things that were bigger than my size and I was like cinching it in the back. So
Oh,
they're like,
gotcha.
you don't look plus size. How is this going to? And I was like, yeah, that. So I quit doing that.
Gotcha.
When it wasn't fully zippered in the back, it would be like a picture of just my shoulder. Like if it was like really pretty lace and it
So
would
you
be,
were like accenting us. So it
yeah,
wasn't like necessarily for fit. It was just like
yeah.
nice.
And
Like,
more, and like for vintage, like to get the style or like a, cute Depop photo or like an Instagram-y type
yeah.
photo for it. Evelys is asking Dave and Lori are saying, how often do you guys do actual physical inventory, match your listings to what's actually in your bins? When you've been doing this process, are you going to your listings as well to do it to make sure they're
I was in the beginning and I haven't been.
yeah. This
I
is
did weed out a lot though. I did.
as
But
my
there's probably still more.
I know
Sorry.
it's bad as my husband has taken over the finance. I mean, I keep track of all my stuff, but like eBay, I found doesn't always have like I was looking in my bin the other day and I was like, why has this not sold? And I looked on eBay and it wasn't there. And so I think sometimes things just don't get. And so as my husband's taking it over, he was like, I want every single item. I did 100 of them. And I think once a month, I'm going to pick one bin and
That's a
just
good
go
idea.
through that bin and make sure and either make sure that everything's listed that's in that bin or decide if I want to donate it. So it's not like this big overwhelming.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. I had a pair of good American jeans, new with tag, like plus size that I picked up at Nordstrom Rack. That was literally just on the shelf. I have no idea why the listing wasn't there, but I was like, that's a significant listing to think, it wasn't in my death pile. It was like in my inventory. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I went through, I had like 8 Free People scarves, new with tags, and they probably won't sell very high, but like and now
Yeah.
it's summer, and I was looking at my bin and it's just a bin full of them. And I'm like, why has not one of these sold? And I couldn't find the listing. So I think it's a good practice, but it's the boring part of our job. I used to model some of my clothes. Oh, that's not a question. I do want to be cognizant of your time. So let's see if we do have any other questions. I think we're okay. Unless you see.
Carla, what's the most you have made per month in sales on Poshmark? Sarah mentioned it might be 2,500 cap.
Oh, yes. I did a video recently. I cannot make more than $2,500 on Poshmark in the 2.5 years I've been on there.
So last month I was over 5,000 in sales on Poshmark. And I had like 900 on eBay. I think the most I've made on eBay was that big push. Like, so in February, January, I had like an $1,800 month on eBay, and that's the best I've ever done on eBay. But this past month was like between 5,500. I would say 5,000 to be on the safe side.
Yeah.
And that was one of my better months.
This is something I've wondered too, because you're an influencer, you have YouTube. So how many of those people, like a lot of the people I know that have done over $5,000 are like people see your haul and then they go to Poshmark. So it's not necessarily specifically
right. I know what you're saying.
And I don't get very many sales because I don't do hauls. I don't really push my product.
I definitely think my hauls, I get people buy stuff from almost every haul, but if I have a 25 piece haul, I don't know. I'm just really throwing this number out with no data to back it up. This is like the anti Sarah answer. I'm going to guess like 5 out of the 20 might be from people who have seen my video and then go seek it out. But I challenge that only because maybe not that my sales per se, but I have always said I spend about 15 hours a week on YouTube between filming and editing. And I always say that if I spent 15 hours a week photographing, listing, sharing, I would make a lot more money because I get paid more with Poshmark than I would on YouTube. I don't know if I feel like my sales would also increase because I would be listing more. I think it's just more, I'm on the app a lot. I send offers as people like them. I follow people every now and then. I share my closet 3-4 times a day. Like I'm just kind of always on the app. And I think that might be why. Like I have some really good friends who started on Poshmark and now they're like anti-Poshmark and they love eBay because they hate sharing. They hate the social part. They don't want to share to parties. They don't want to bundle items and send offers to people. They're like, if people want them, they're going to buy them. And that's true. But I feel like I feel like you have to finesse sales a lot more on Poshmark.
Yeah. And I've done that. I do it far less now because I just don't want to anymore. But I have done, I mean, I've been on for almost 2.5 years, and when I started, it was 8 hours a day. I was following 10,000 people a day, and I was sharing 12 items, 12, doing all and sending bundles and I've done all the video. I've tried sending offers right after 15 minutes, and I've tried sending them once a week, and all the different theories out there. And no matter what I have done, I can't get over $2,500. I did a video, like a conspiracy theory. I don't think that is actually a conspiracy theory. It's just like a good way to get a video. Because there's definitely sellers that do more, but it just makes me wonder what is happening in my closet, that no matter what, my best month is $2,500. And I have never in 2.5 years been able, and I'm selling 8,000 on eBay. So it's not that
right. Like you've had crazy months on eBay. Well, I wonder if it's because you're more like I know Coach is one of your best selling things. And I think that may sell better on eBay, or Columbia is, or are you saying like, even when you had some of the more like Poshmark friendly brands?
This has been the entire time that I've had. Like now I think eBay does better because I've learned eBay better. Like that makes sense.
Yeah.
But this is like before I even did eBay, no matter what, like I was like all in Poshmark, and I was doing the 30-minute method, and I was
I don't do that.
But I was doing like all the,
but you were trying everything,
and I was modeling my items, and I was like doing all the Poshmark things, and I've just never been able to get over that number, which is wild. Not the purpose of this video, though.
No, but I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting to see what works for different people.
Yeah. So I do want to be cognizant of your time. We are 5 minutes over. I do appreciate you coming on, Lori. And you guys, if you are not following Lori, her information is down linked below her YouTube channel. She does 2 videos a week, right? Lots of what sold, lots of haul videos that she just really knows her stuff. If you guys are looking
thank you.
To see what sells, or she always has a new brand, right? That I'm like, there was a sweater,
Baba.
Yes. And I was like, I would have never thought. And it sold quick for a lot. So if you guys want to learn below brands, or just see what sells, or just listen to a very soothing voice, because Lori has that voice that's so calming.
No, I have to make the switch to ASMR videos, I've been told.
Yeah. That's a topic for another day. But yes, totally. You are very, very soothing. So thank you so much. And everybody, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, Sarah, for having me. And it's nice because I think we have 2 very different styles to reselling. And I think we can learn from one another. And I always love your videos. And I just watched your Terra Peak video. If you guys haven't seen that yet, that was super helpful.
Okay. Yes,
you're efficient too, because you pack a lot of information into like 15-minute videos, which I'm incapable of doing.
But mine are more like mine are tips and tricks. And so when people searches, how do I use Terra Peak, they want like to the point. And I've learned like the more I can pack in the shorter, the better my videos do. Like you said, we're very different YouTubers, very different resellers, but that's what's amazing is we can both do it. Like there's so many different ways that you can do it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Next week, I am doing a collaborative thrift haul. So I have 4 other resellers that are coming on, and we're all bringing our, I'm going to say 5, but I don't know if we'll have time to each share 5 items. But from our latest thrift haul, and we'll talk about pick it up, or, just chattering about a thrift haul. So that'll be next week. It is a new time. So thank you guys for showing up. 4 p.m. Mountain Standard. It is staying lighter later here, so I want to enjoy time after dinner with my kids. So that's it, and thank you so much, Lori, for coming. Everyone in the chat, thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having me. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We appreciate it. Good night.